first? Okay, over there. Mel? On the far side.
I can talk.
Okay.
Quick question. Future expansion of 32nd Street?
Yep.
Possible something to do with the intersection of the 30th Avenue to 32nd Street intersection?
Yep, so we're currently in the process of doing a transportation master plan. We'll see the results of that this year. We had on the plan to do some advocacy work with the federal government because we need to twin the bridge crossing the river. And I just would like to put that out there that I think it took them almost 20 years to get the bridge the first time around. So our plan was to start that advocacy this year with what's going on federally. I'm not sure we'll be doing much advocating until the fall with that. And I am actually not 100% certain if it is, the twinning of 32nd is not in our 10-year capital, but it is in that next kind of phase, depending on where we get with the bridge advocacy. Anybody else? We've got clear in there.
I took the liberty to audit some of our town spending, and here's what I found. So we're paying to Environment and Sustainability Coordinator up to $84,000 a year, Climate Change and Energy Specialist up to $92,000 a year, an Indigenous Relation Advisor up to $115,000 a year, and Community Identity Manager up to $140,000 a year. So these are just a few positions that I mentioned. I just want to mention how much peace officer makes. Peace officer makes 92.5 up to 92.5 thousand a year, and the senior officer makes up to 104.5. And here are the few projects that Climate Change Specialist working on is Net Zero Community Accelerator, bringing together Indigenous and other knowledge for climate resilience, Smart Energy Community Benchmark, attending Community of Practice Symposium in Climate West Forum in Edmonton, Community of Practice webinars. So the town, I did look at the town's plan for 2025 and actually beyond. And it does look like the town is very committed to implementing sustainability initiative and policies. And it's unclear if they're going to stop or limit these expenditures.
Is this a question?
Yeah. There will be a question. In my own community of Drake Linden, the first solar-powered residential community is facing decommissioning. So why is our town administration doubling down on so-called sustainability while cutting garbage collection, they raising taxes way above inflation every year? Is it what people voted for? That's my question.
I'm not exactly sure how to answer your question of is it what people voted for. I was pretty clear on what my platform was, and I was elected mayor in terms of the environment. So I'll take a few of those pieces. So first of all, the decommissioning of the Drake Landing community. That community's been here for 20 years. We were leading edge in building that community, and the communities that have been built elsewhere have learned from the information that we had. Where we were now, we could have what's the word I'm looking for? Revitalized, retrofitted, thank you. I appreciate the help there, colleagues. We could have retrofitted. That retrofit was going to probably cost the town somewhere in the margin of about $500,000, which would have been on the tax base. And then we would have had yearly operating costs of another $150,000, also would have been on the tax base. We did not deem that that was the best move, working with our partners, ATCO Gas, Anthem United, and Sterling Homes. And so we came up with a plan to decommission that, transitioned all of those units. That That was a really highly successful project. It ran for 20 years. It was supposed to be a pilot project. So I don't know, we got 20 years out of that, and there was a lot of learnings from it. So that's on that side. Okotoks has prided itself on being an environmental leader. We will continue to be an environmental leader and invest in environmental initiatives that make sense. What we've done in terms of retrofits on our buildings have seen, I don't have the exact number, but I can get it. We've seen substantial utility cost savings, which is a reduction in your property tax bill because you pay for our utility costs on our buildings. And we have seen a substantial reduction because of what we've invested in those buildings. So those would be my high-level answers to that question. I think there was a question over here.
I just noticed that on the analytics that was provided in the slide, that the top complaints were traffic and speed. So especially on the boulevard, the incident that happened last week, I'm just wondering if there's any plans for that going forward.
Yeah, I will answer at a high level, but we do have our municipal enforcement team here, so feel free to have some additional conversations there. Traffic has been an ongoing conversation that we have had at the council table, I think, since we got elected, seeing the nods from there. So there's a few things. One, we have invested in more municipal enforcement officers, so we put more boots on the ground, and that has been a primary focus. I think there was a data and analytics slide that was up there, and if you would have come by, but in the data analytics we're collecting, you'll see the significant increase in traffic enforcement and the number of tickets that are being issued for speeding. So we are trying, but we can't be everywhere. So it actually comes out to everybody that's here. And we are the ones that control whether they're speeding in our community. It's what we do as residents. If you get in your vehicle and you're driving over 40 kilometers, you're part of the problem. So there is, you know, everybody that I see says they're not speeding, but yet it's the #1 complaint. So we have people in this community that live here that are speeding. So I encourage you to talk to your kids, your families, your neighbors, and ask what we are doing to help solve that problem. Because I can tell you from an enforcement perspective, we can't hire enough bodies to control it.
Can we put anything in place, especially for the crosswalks around the St. Mary's School? That is speed bump or anything, even lights there, because there's lots of kids that cross there and they're having to put it there on the corners.
Yeah, so whatever request that you do is actually submit on the website a recommendation of where you would like to see some additional stuff. So what we have is a traffic impact analysis tool that we go through a scoring process to determine where we're going to invest next. So we put all of them into a list. So some of them might be on the list, but they don't hit the top of the list because we don't have the bottomless pit of money to do all of it. And in terms of speed bumps, it's one of the things that we don't necessarily look at as a solution. And part of that is because it's really hard on our equipment from a snow removal perspective. And so it doesn't bode well with that. It also creates challenges with our emergency response as well. So it is an option, but it's not one that we look at on our primary routes. So hope that helps. Anybody else? I've got here and over there. Oh, sorry.
First of all,
2 seconds. I went here. Sorry, Gordon.
Okay, with regards to the new CPKC railway fence, the first part of my question is, can you explain to us why it was necessary? Because I'm not sure, at least I've been exposed to that argument. And the second part of the question is, was it put out to tender? And if so, how many companies bid on it, and did the lowest bidder win?
Okay, so why the fence around the railway? So the first reason for the why is because CP Rail required us to have it. If you go through the majority of communities lately and in the past, they've required fencing through their downtown cores to reduce that interaction with potential with people and trains. We've been pushing CP Rail off for a number of years, but we wanted to make some changes that required us to access the CP Rail right away. So you'll see the parking that's gone in on Daggett so far. There's some additional other things that are part of the downtown redevelopment. We also would like to move power lines that are down there and have those below. And so this was the impetus of CP Rail saying, we're happy to play, but you guys must do this. It was put out to tender. I have nothing to do with tenders, so you'd have to ask staff about that. That doesn't come across the council table, so I have no idea how that process went. I have here and then back there.
First of all, Mayor Thorn and everyone in the council, I want to thank you for your service to the community. I love this town. I love the motto, historic past and sustainable future. The question has to do with that. The new water pipeline, which is required for growth, will be located at the point where the Highwood River meets the Bow River. The proposed Grassy Mountain open pit coal mine will contaminate the entire Old watershed, which includes the Highwood River, with selenium and other toxins. Will town council reconsider supporting High River Mayor Snodgrass in publicly stating its opposition to all open pit coal mines along the eastern slopes in order to protect our critical watersheds? And by that I mean an open letter at no cost, just in support of protecting our critical watersheds. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. So we do have a letter that was sent out when this started the first time around that council did endorse, and I'm going to say that was in 2021, end of 2021. So there is a letter that we did put out with that. As some of you may or may not be aware, I do sit on the Minister of Environment's Water Advisory Committee, and I am using that platform at this moment in time to understand exactly what we're dealing with. So I currently have a meeting at the end of this month for that committee. I did attend the event in Lethbridge that was held on water availability engagement a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And there was lots of questions there about coal mining selenium. And I'm waiting for the links on the reports that were referenced there so that I can do my own due diligence with it, and then we will go from there. So that is the best I can give you as an answer, but I will tell you at a core, we will do what we need to do to protect our water source, because water is life, it's an essential need, and we will make sure that we continue to have that for generations to come.
Hi there. Are there plans to expand the buses in Okotoks for transit? That's question one. And question two, is there a plan to put in a skating rink behind Westmount School? Because I was told there will be.
Okay, transit, I'll talk about that one first. Yes, there's plans to make changes to transit. I don't know what yet though. So we are just going through a transit analysis as we speak right now. I believe that's scheduled to come to council end of February, beginning of March. I'm seeing some nods maybe. Oh, later? Oh, April. So we will get some more information there. We are aware that it is not operating at our desired service level, which is a good news story and a bad news story. Good news because our communities embrace transit and the service that we got. Bad news because it's happened faster than we intended it to happen. So we're trying to make some adaptations. We were not expecting to be in this position for another 4 years. So we are way ahead of schedule of where we anticipated to be. So it is on the radar. And sorry, remind me what your second, oh, this is skating.
Yeah, behind Westmount School where is the field divide, half the field is the school and the back field is the town. And so apparently the town was going to put in a boarded rink.
I know nothing about that. But we do have people from Parks. Our Parks Director, Krista Mihalik, is here. She's at the back. She's given a wave there. She's right in blue shirt. So if you chat with her, she'll have maybe more detail on that. Yeah, you're welcome. I've got at the back there. I've got two at the back.
Haven't really prepared anything, but I'd like to speak about the no dog licenses required anymore. I've sort of done some rough calculations, and looked like there was 5,000 dogs licensed last year, and an altered dog being $500 or $100 a dog, an altered dog being $25. I sort of rounded that off to say the average cost would be $50 a dog, which runs up from almost $250,000 from the revenue coming in. That seems an awful lot. Also, when you look at the return from tickets issued for licensing, should be up there $100,000 anyway for a ticket for a dog not being licensed, and some of that revenue comes back to the town. By eliminating the dog licenses, you also have eliminated, security for an enforcement officer going into a house. They no longer have a heads up of what they're walking into with regards to dogs. I don't understand why you would eliminate that as part of the safety for the enforcement officers. I just can't get my head around why you would eliminate that amount of money. Now the money that you've eliminated would go to help pay for municipal enforcement. Now the taxpayers are now paying for that. I guess an example is somebody that can't afford a dog and they let their dog go, now has to turn around and pay for the enforcement of the responsible pet ownership bylaw. I just don't understand council's thinking in this. And I guess the other thing is we have 7 members of council that have votes. How many of those members have dogs? And did they eliminate themselves from the vote because of a conflict of interest? I just don't get my head around why you would eliminate that source of revenue and the information that it brings in for the municipal enforcement officers.
Okay, appreciate the question. So first of all, the revenue stream was not $250,000. That wasn't what was eliminated. I think the revenue stream from dog licensing is actually under $100,000. I'm looking for, if I recall correctly, and I will find you the number of what we were actually collecting was under $100,000. We did work with municipal enforcement in terms of changing this bylaw. Their ability to enforce responsible pet ownership doesn't change because we've eliminated licensing. Our dogs are still required to be ID'd. If they're not ID'd, they can still be written a ticket for them. One of the reasons that we went and looked at this is because the amount of time that it was requiring of our staff to actually maintain the program and actually do the program was taking more time than the revenue that was coming in. So we felt that there was better usage of that time off of that revenue. And the reason that dog licensing originally was added as a service, so this is part of that whole service level review in analyzing why the municipality is doing certain services. So the reason that service ever became a municipal service was to reconnect lost pets with lost owners. That's the reason that service became a municipal government piece. We no longer need to do that because we've got social media that is doing that. We've got vet clinics that are doing that. So we do not need to do that service when it's being provided now elsewhere. So that's part of that whole philosophy around looking at the services we provide and determining if today we still need to be providing it. So that's my response to that question. I'm going to take one more question, which was the gentleman at the back standing. And then I will let you get out of here because I've kept you almost till 8 o'clock.
First question, Tanya. The intersection at Veterans Way and Milligan Drive. So if I remember correctly, I've been a resident for over 16 years. At one time there was talk of the traffic circle roundabout there. Yep. They obviously eliminated the speed turn. They redid the thing, which is fine. But now with the volume of traffic, I think anybody can attest, when you're going northbound at any peak time or any time of day on Veterans Way, turning left is a death hazard. There's so much traffic coming now on Milligan Drive, and to try to turn left across there. So my question is, what are we going to do about it? I think a traffic circle might be an answer, but again, you have to study it. But the way it is now is not feasible. So that's question number one. And question or comment number 2 is on crosswalks. So again, just one example, four-way stop at Veterans Way in Okotoks Drive is one of the busiest during school times. Almost every school bus, private, public, Catholic, stops at that intersection. Without fail, the last 3 years, the town has decided to wait until the first day of school to start painting those crosswalks. Without crowd that comes to do it 3 years in a row. They have all summer to do it. They wait till the first day of school. They're out there closing out a line, painting the crosswalks. Kids are going, accident waiting to happen. So that's just a common sense thing from operations. Please don't do it on the first day of school. Please do it in August before. But more so that intersection there, what's your plan there?
Yeah, the Veterans Way intersection, it hasn't actually come up as a conversation. I do recall a traffic circle being considered at one point in time, and I want to say that the radius needed doesn't exist there, but we do have people from our transportation department are here and our engineering team, so I can put that to there. I know that is one of the online questions. I will answer the online questions and post responses on the Shape Our Town .okotoks.ca site, so I will answer that. But it hasn't come up as being an intersection that we're talking about, and our implementation and how team have heard your comment about crosswalk fading. I can say that they do start in August. There's a lot of crosswalks that need to be done, so I can say they do start in August. But your comment's well taken, so thank you. So with that, in interest of getting you all home at a decent time, we're going to stop questions. I invite you to come and chat. We've got lots of people from our